Thank you, Administrator Long, for being here with us today. I'm actually a former community nutrition educator, so it's nice to have you with us and to hear directly from someone who has extensive experience implementing viral nutrition initiatives. To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle who might not be aware of these staggering statistics, right now more than 38 million people, including 12 million children, are food insecure in the United States. To put that in perspective, that is nearly 1 in 3 Black children, 1 in 4 Latino children, 6% of Asian Americans, and 19% of Pacific Islanders, and 2.1 million rural households, all living with food insecurity. That is unacceptable. No child in the wealthiest country in the world should be going to sleep hungry. At the beginning of the pandemic, as schools were closing their doors, my mind went to the 30 million kids who rely on school meals for their food every day. Immediately, I was able to draft, with the help of the committee, and introduce the Meals Act, which granted waivers allowing districts to do whatever it takes to provide universal school meals in the hopes of preventing massive hunger crisis. Thankfully, my bill was included in the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, and the waivers became law. In August 2020, when those waivers were expiring, we were able to work with our colleagues to push for those waivers to be extended, and luckily we were able to secure that. This month, we found ourselves in a similar place as families look to us to see if we are able to extend those meal waivers before they expire at the end of the month. Thankfully, today we will be voting on a bill to do just that. But we can't stop there. We need permanent solution. That's why one of the first bills I introduced after I was sworn in was the Universal School Meals Program. So my question, Administrator Long, is if you are able to speak more to finding a permanent solution to the problem of child hunger and the potential benefits of a universal school meals program.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman, for your leadership in supporting these programs. We certainly a universal approach is something that has, would be a significant change with statutory and funding implications, and ultimately is in the hands of Congress. But I can say that we certainly have seen the benefits of universal programs, not only in these past 2 years as a part of the pandemic response, but we've had longer experience with the Community Eligibility Program, which allows universal programs to operate. It is targeted towards lower income communities, but it allows them to operate universal feeding programs, and they receive their funding based on a formula rather than on a individual means tested approach. We have seen great benefits associated with community eligibility. We hear from every corner, parents, teachers, principals, community members, how valuable the program is in increasing participation, reducing stigma, and just really rallying the community around school meals. So we would certainly be happy to work with you and your colleagues moving forward on what the future for school meals should look like.
Thank you. And I've traveled and have done extensive meetings with administrators in my district, and have been to schools and have heard a lot of those success stories directly. So thank you for amplifying that. Could you also expand on the ways that the traditional funding model for school meals stigmatizes the children who receive those meals, as you've just alluded to that stigma?
Certainly. Well, some of the things we hear are that, one of the issues that I'm sure many of you are aware of is this sort of notion that sometimes children will appear at school without the ability to purchase a school meal, and yet they're not certified for free or reduced price meals for whatever reason. The family didn't understand the application or something to that effect. and they're not able to obtain a meal, or they're provided an alternative meal. We've worked really, really hard to encourage schools to support kids, provide meals where they can, be very clear about policies to avoid exactly that kind of stigma, which no child should have to experience in their school day.
Yeah, really appreciate that. I always say we have to feed the bellies before we can feed the brains. And as a country that has the resources, we should prioritize our children, their well-being, their development, their health, and their ability to get an education to get ahead. So thank you so much. I yield back, Madam Chair.